Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, but reflects the same passion that I exhibit everywhere for teaching, mentoring, and helping others succeed through simple, impactful lessons. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community and for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. Workplace incivility is costing U.S. organizations $2 billion per day. I said that correctly. $2 billion every single day, and it's lost to the toxic behaviors that poison teams and crater productivity. The research on this is actually quite staggering. 76% of workers experience some form of incivility in the past month. And so when someone encounters rude or dismissive behavior at work, it takes them an average of 31 minutes to recover. So let's do the math. 31 minutes of lost focus, mental spinning, venting to colleagues, or checking out entirely. Multiply that across millions of workers all over the United States, and you start to see how that math really adds up. So naturally, leaders are scrambling to fix it, and they are doing what is called civility training, respect policies, workplace conduct guidelines, all good intentions, all aiming at the same target. We gotta figure out how to make people nicer at work. But here's the problem that nobody actually wants to admit out loud. We just may be solving the wrong thing. I want to talk about the false binary that's actually breaking teams. Most leaders think that they're facing a simple binary choice. On the one hand, you have the command and control approach. It is aggressive, intimidating, old school management that I cannot stand, where that you think about this as it's a fear that is driving compliance, and people are keeping their heads down just to survive. I've been through it. I know what it feels like, and it's the reason why I definitely do not like it whatsoever. And we all know that this doesn't work, and yet somehow, for some reason, in companies all over the world, it's still tolerated. I don't understand why. It creates toxic cultures, and it drives away really good talent, and it absolutely kills innovation. On the other side, you have that overly nice approach. Conflict avoidance dressed up as kindness. Leaders who prioritize comfort over truth, who would rather let problems fester than risk an uncomfortable conversation. This approach does feel safer, but it's just as destructive as the command and control, just in its own way. The problem is that neither one of those extremes really work. One kills teams through fear, the other through dishonesty disguised as politeness. In 2025, we're watching a lot of political divisiveness. We have economic anxiety, and we have cultural polarization that bleeds, unfortunately, into every workplace conversation. People are triggered, they're defensive, and interpreting everything through their most charged lens. Leaders are freezing because they don't know where the line is anymore, and they're terrified of HR complaints, afraid of saying the wrong thing, and unsure how to hold people accountable without being labeled as either aggressive or insensitive. And so what happens is that a lot of companies are choosing fake politeness, and they suffer as a result of it. So I had this idea. Could we just all be a human, like a decent human? I've been spending over 20 years working in legal technology, in e-discovery, and working in very high-stakes environments where millions upon millions of dollars, reputations, and legal outcomes truly hang in the balance. And I've worked with attorneys who are brilliant advocates, but absolutely brutal to work with. I've seen opposing counsel who are nasty for sport, treating every interaction like it's a blood sport. And I've watched clients' attorneys treat vendors like second-class citizens, as if they are not professionals also doing critical work for the same mutual client. And I have to tell you something. I've had to make tough choices in these types of moments because they have happened to me and my team. And when an attorney on a case treated my team poorly, I didn't stay silent to keep the peace. I reported toxic attorney behavior to the law firm's management. I defended my team and I made it clear that we are all professionals deserving of respect. And when senior members of my own organization have intimidated or chastised junior team members, I have called it out. When employees have come to me privately to tell me that they don't like how someone at my level has been treating them, I have addressed it directly. The thing is that this isn't complicated. It's not about civility training, and it's not about workplace conduct policies. It's all about being a decent human being. That means that you can actually be direct without being destructive. It means that you can hold people accountable without intimidating them, and you can set boundaries without being brutal. And you can tell the truth without being cruel. To do all this correctly, I wanted to talk to you all about the 4 principles of human first leadership. And the first is, it is okay to be direct without being destructive. It is okay to be direct without being destructive. There is a massive difference between this work doesn't meet our standard and what is wrong with you. One focuses on the output and creates space for improvement, empowerment through knowledge. That's where the good stuff is. The other just attacks the person and creates shame. When you need to deliver tough feedback, focus on the work, not the worth. Be specific about what's wrong and clear about what is needed. Don't sugarcoat it, but don't weaponize it either. Okay, number 2, accountability without intimidation. When someone messes something up, take a breath. Really. Close your eyes, count to 3, and breathe. Slow down. Your job is not to punish somebody. Your job is to help them understand what may have gone wrong and how to fix it. It's important here, really important, that we choose accountability for them, not punishment at them. Ask questions like, walk me through your thinking on this. What would you do differently next time? It's so important here to create a learning moment and not a trauma. This is where the command and control fails spectacularly. Fear-based accountability might get short-term compliance, but I'm telling you, it kills long-term growth and innovation. People will stop taking risks. They will stop speaking up, and they start managing their boss instead of managing their work. Number 3, you can be professional without being performative. Stop pretending everything is fine when it is not fine. Radical candor requires that you tell the truth. If political tensions are affecting the team, as an example, let's name it. And you can say something like, I'm sensing some tension around this topic that goes beyond the work itself. Let's recenter, let's refocus on what we're trying to accomplish here. If someone's performance is slipping, address it early and directly. Don't wait until you're so frustrated and then it explodes. And don't dress criticism in compliments and hope that they figure it out. The performative politeness that passes for civility in too many places is actually a form of dishonesty. It prioritizes your comfort over their growth. And real kindness sometimes means having that hard conversation now rather than letting somebody fail down the road later. Okay, number 4, boundaries without being brutal. When I defended my team against that toxic attorney behavior, that wasn't incivility, that was leadership. Setting boundaries isn't mean, it actually is mandatory. And you could say that that tone isn't acceptable without yelling. And you could say, we need to address how you spoke to my team without making it personal. And you could protect your people from abuse while remaining professional yourself. I know I have done it. The key is that you actually do it. Too many leaders see bad behavior, feel uncomfortable about addressing it, and rationalize inaction as keeping the peace. Let me be clear, that's not peace, that's permission. And you're doing a disservice, a big disservice to your team, and it's disrespectful. Okay, so it's important to also address here when politics bleed into the workplace. I think we know that right now, workplaces are pressure cookers. Political polarization isn't just a national problem anymore, it's becoming a team problem. It's a meeting problem, it's a lunchroom problem, it's a water cooler problem. So let's talk about what actually does work in those situations. It's important not to police opinions, but you can police behavior. People can believe whatever they want about politics, policy, or social issues. What they can't do is treat colleagues poorly just because of a belief. If someone makes a dismissive comment about a colleague's political views, you address the dismissiveness, not the politics. You could say something like, look, we can disagree on policy, but we can't be dismissive of each other. Again, it's not respectful. And it's really about being a decent human being. So if someone brings up a hot button topic in a meeting and it's derailing the work, you as a leader can redirect. You could say, look, I really appreciate the passion, but we're here to solve the client issue. And so let's table that conversation for another time. It sounds like it might be difficult, but it isn't. You could model curiosity over defensiveness. And so when someone disagrees with you, you could ask questions. You could say something like, help me understand your thinking on this. Remember, you don't have to agree, but you do have to show that differing perspectives are actually welcome. There's a saying in the military that goes something like this: the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. So when a senior team member intimidates a junior employee and you say nothing, well, you have just set a standard. When someone treats a vendor, a contractor, support staff member like they're less important and you ignore it, guess what? You have just set a standard. And when political tension poisons team dynamics and you avoid the conversation because it's uncomfortable, well, again, you've just set a standard. I think that by now we all may know that leadership is not about being liked and it's not about being feared either. I'm going to say this as clear as possible. Leadership, like anything else, it's about being human enough to tell the truth, tough enough to hold standards, and really secure enough to admit when you are wrong. Because there is a real cost of getting all of this wrong. That $2 billion per day in lost productivity that I talked about at the beginning of this episode, that is just the measurable costs. The unmeasurable costs are actually worse. Talented people who leave because they can't stand the culture anymore, that hurts. It hurts innovation because that talent who leaves creates a problem because all of a sudden, great talent is walking out the door. And when great talent walks out the door because of the culture you have let permeate, innovation dies. Client relationships that crater because your team is too busy managing internal dysfunction to focus on external excellence, that's a problem. Junior employees who stop asking questions because they've been shut down one too many times, that is a problem. These costs compound. They don't show up on the P&L, But you know where they show up? In your organization's results. Okay, so let's talk about moving forward. The choice is in front of you and all of your friends who are also leaders. The workplace doesn't need more civility training. It needs more people that are willing to be decent, direct, and brave. And what that means is that you, dear leader, address the toxic behaviors when you see it, even when it is uncomfortable. That means that you tell people the truth about their performance, even when it could be easier to avoid the conversation altogether. That means that you set clear expectations about how people treat each other and hold everyone to those standards, regardless of their title or their tenure. That means that you create space for disagreement while shutting down disrespect. The civility crisis isn't about people being too mean. It's about leaders being too scared to address meanness when it happens. It's about organizations prioritizing comfort over accountability. It's about confusing fake politeness with real respect. Real civility isn't about being nice. It's about being human. It's about being honest. It's about being fair. And most of all, again, it's just about being a decent human. And your team will thank you for it. So here's your challenge this week. Where are you choosing comfort over truth? What standard are you walking past that you need to address? Who on your team needs you to be more direct with them? Because most of all, remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It is about progress. Take these lessons, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. See you all next time.